All right, and we are live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So today we got a lot to talk about in our video. The first really big thing that just came out this morning as I was kind of like watching the crypto space and like, hey, what are we going to talk about today on our stream is a new decision that came out from the U.S. Treasury that could cause you to go to jail if you don't heed this. Okay, so this is a pretty big deal. So you definitely want to watch this video. We get to talk about that, look at a lot of the news updates that have happened in the space since our live stream on Friday. Again, we do these live streams Monday through Friday on this channel. Just subscribe, turn on notifications. You're going to find out about those whenever we go live. We're going to check on the crypto markets. We got some green in the charts here, answer some of your questions, and a whole lot more. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step-by-step start to finish, then definitely head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. All right, so we got people jumping in the chat here. We've got Automatic Beats, technically, Kodia, David Stone, Above Realty, Opie, Be Known, G3P Games, Dale. All right, we're live. Martin, welcome. All right, so let's jump into this. So we just had a huge bombshell drop this morning, okay, that I want to talk about because this is a developing story with lots of questions that could mean jail time for some people who are in the crypto space. All right. So the crypto mixing service Tornado Cash was just blacklisted by the U.S. Treasury. So what does this mean? So we have to actually really break this down, okay? And you really need to understand what this is, even if you don't know what Tornado Cash is, or even if you do know what it is and if you've never used it, because this could have implications beyond just the application itself. All right, we actually look at the statement, but let's break it down step by step here and see, what this could mean. So the U.S. Treasury banned all Americans from using decentralized crypto mixing service Tornado Cash on Monday, or Tornado, however you want to say it, right? The Office of Foreign Asset Control, a Treasury watchdog tasked with preventing sanction violations, added Tornado Cash to its specifically designated nationals list, or running tally of blacklisted people, entities, and cryptocurrency addresses. Okay. As a result, U.S. persons and entities are now prohibited from interacting with Tornado Cash or any of the Ethereum wallet addresses tied to the protocol. Okay, that's pretty key right there. Those who do may face criminal penalties. All right, so just in case you're not familiar with the U.S. code, criminal penalties are a special type of penalty. So anyways, Tornado Cash has been a key tool for Lazarus Group, a North Korean hacking group tied to 625 million hack from the Ronin Bridge network. We've talked about this several times in our hacks. Okay, so let's give a high-level view of what this is, because like I was saying before, even if you know what Tornado Cash is, or even if you're like, hey, I'm not going to use that thing, this is still important because it has other implications, because you may be in some gray territory even if you've interacted with an address that's just simply tied to the protocol, even if you didn't use it yourself. So let's set the stage for what this is. So first of all, what is Tornado Cash? So it is an application on top of the Ethereum blockchain that is a privacy solution for Ethereum. So why do we have it in the first place? What does it do? So first of all, all your transactions on top of Ethereum are essentially public, right? They're not really private. Excuse me. You can have an Ethereum wallet, right? That's like your pseudonym on the blockchain. But you can still see every single account that you've ever sent cryptocurrency to, all right? You can see every single smart contract that you've ever interacted with, every token transfer you've ever done, because, your wallet history is on chain. And likewise, like, you might try to send cryptocurrency out to another wallet and then control that second wallet, say, like, I don't want to see all my transactions in one place, and try to, or maybe use a centralized exchange to, like, try to, move funds around where people won't link the two identities. But there's no really good way to do it on chain unless you have some sort of privacy solution. And that's really where Tornado Cash comes into play. Is it essentially is an application that's powered by smart contracts, and you can send. You can deposit cryptocurrency into this thing, and it's a mixer or a blender, where essentially, hence the term Tornado, where you can deposit money and a lot of other people are depositing it, and then you essentially get a claim ticket, almost like a valet ticket, to withdraw Ether, or not Ether necessarily, but withdraw your cryptocurrency that you put into this big pool on the other side to a fresh address without without revealing the connection to the address that deposited it. Okay, so that's the whole idea of mixing it. You have a bunch of people who are putting cryptocurrency all in the same spot, and then you can withdraw it on the other side. Okay, and you can't actually, you don't know for sure, right, with who deposited in the first place. Now I know there are people saying that advanced blockchain analytics firms have sort of cracked the code on mixers like this to where they can pretty much tell who is who, right, or get a pretty good idea of who deposited and what their original identities were. Okay, so but that's the whole idea. The more people deposit into it, the harder it is to track who withdrew on the other side. People use it all the time. Like this cited in the article here, and also the statement from the U.S. Treasury, which we'll actually look at in depth here in a minute, that that essentially, sorry, I lost my train of thought here. That basically, one of the big reasons they're cracking down this, or the cited reason, okay, is because of funds. This being used all the time from like hackers, right, or illicit activity, right. But there's lots of people who use Tornado Cash simply to freshen up their Ethereum addresses so that they are not linking their identities all to one account. So I know there's lots of opinions from this type of thing, being like, hey, I'm not a criminal, right? I just want to maybe not dox all my wallets on chain and like hide or not link everything to the same account. So I use this thing, but you have to understand, if for the United States, the law does not care about that anymore, right? It's got nothing to do with your intentions about how you're doing it. Like, you are now categorically banned from doing this. Okay. So it doesn't matter what your intentions are. This could be the type of situation where you are facing criminal charges for using an application like this, okay? And then also any interacting with any account, address, wallet that is even linked with it. So that begs the question, what does that mean? Does that mean if you sent money to an account that developed Tornado Cash, or does it mean somebody who simply sent money ever to Tornado Cash? If you ever interacted with them, if you got an OpenSea and accepted an NFT offer from somebody who, funded their wallet with Tornado Cash, or you bought an NFT from someone who funded their wallet with Tornado Cash, are you now like in hot water in terms of the law, in terms of United States? There's all kinds of questions that come to the surface here that we don't necessarily know the answer to. Okay, so let's look at the actual statement itself to see what if we can get any type of clues into this thing. All right, so we saw the article, but let's actually look at the statement. Sorry. From the U.S. Treasury. So this is on the U.S. Treasury website. So U.S. Treasury sanctions notorious virtual currency mixer Tornado Cash. So today, the U.S. Department of Treasury, Office of Foreign Asset Control, sanctioned virtual Tornado, currency mixer Tornado Cash. Okay. Here's the stats on talking about it's how much volume it's done, the attack, the hacks that we've talked about. So anyways, today, Treasury is sanctioning Tornado Cash, it launders proceeds of cyber crimes, including those committed against victims in the United States. So they're saying, despite public assurances otherwise, Tornado has repeatedly failed to impose effective controls designed to stop it from laundering funds for malicious cyber actors on a regular basis without basic measures to address risk. So the Treasury will continue to aggressively pursue actions against the mixer that launder virtual currency for crimes and those who assist them. Assist them is key. So that's pretty ambiguous language. What does it mean to assist? Is providing funds to a protocol, is that assisting? Probably. Okay, so you definitely want to be very careful with this type of thing. So also, do you hold a Tornado token, or do you hold a governance token? Have you ever participated in Tornado Cash governance? Like, these are all questions. Is this retroactive? If you've ever used Tornado Cash, are you now in trouble? Like, is this just going forward? So Treasury has worked to expose components of virtual currency ecosystems. That's not, okay, et cetera, et cetera. Let's actually just talk about this The sanctions implications. This is the big kicker. Like here's where we can potentially get some answers to our questions. As a result of today's action, all property and interest, all right, in property of the entity above, Tornado Cash, that is in the United States or in the possession or control of U.S. persons is blocked and must be reported to OFAC. All right. In addition, any entities that are owed directly or indirectly 50% or more by one or more blocked persons are also blocked. Okay. So all transactions by U.S. persons or within or transiting, all right, the United States. So if you're in the U.S., even if you're not living in the U.S., so that sounds like to me. I'm not a lawyer, but that's what it sounds like. The United States that involves any property interest and property of designated or otherwise blocked persons are prohibited unless authorized by a general rule or specific licenses issued by OFAC or exempt. Okay. So also, if you're transiting the United States, I don't know if that means if you're using a VPN inside the United States either. Okay. So these prohibitions include making of any contribution or provision of funds, goods, or services. All right. Yep, there you go. To or for the benefit of any blocked person and the receipt of any contribution or provision of funds, goods, or services from any such person. All right. So this looks like a very comprehensive blanket thing that could put you in hot water, if you, even had any interaction with the protocol from 2 degrees or more separation. So I'm interested to see what comes out of this, but I'm not a lawyer. I can't give legal advice, but I will issue a fair warning that if you live in the United States, I would be very careful right now. Okay. If you have relied upon an application like this as a core part of your life on chain, then I'd be very careful. Okay. Because this is serious business. This is not like a slap on the wrist sort of thing. Again, I'm not a lawyer. Cannot give any official legal advice by any stretch of the imagination. I could definitely see them not pursuing criminal charges for everybody who's ever done anything like this, but especially now, like right now, immediately today. But I would not take any chances. I would definitely not take any chances if you live in the United States, because this is serious business. The fact that they can give criminal charges for this type of thing. Now we have a category for it, and about it. I would not mess around. This is crazy. Yeah, it definitely is crazy. Let's see here. Somebody's talking about the legal language here. So this is the let's just see here. So I don't see any clarification about the retroactive, implications of this here, but definitely moving forward, I'd be very careful. And, yeah. So what do y'all think down in the chat below? Somebody says if I was hacked and they used Tornado Cash to wipe their theft of my tokens, could I file charges now to redeem some of the value lost? Well, I mean, if you were hacked in the first place, I mean, I don't think it gives you any additional leverage from a legal perspective, because you still have to identify that person and work with people to recover the funds. And, the tragedy is like most of the time for individuals, the amount of money is not the type of thing where you can get other people like on your side to help you recover the funds. Now, if you're a massive blockchain ecosystem that suffered if you suffered $1 billion attack like we've seen in the past, then of course there's going to be lots of people who are highly incentivized to help you recover those funds because they can get a cut of the rewards. Now there will be some people who will help you, right? But most of the time, you're not going to get massive help unless it's a huge amount of money that other people can kind of get a bounty for helping recover. It's just the unfortunate reality. Somebody says, like, the whole point of using a VPN to conceal your location, so there's no way that know the real location of a VPN unless the user's VPN company is a U.S.-based company and the authorities subpoena them. Yeah, so I understand. Like, I also want to give you a very, very, very fair warning right now that, if you're like, oh, well, how are they going to know if I use a VPN that I'm a U.S. citizen? And like, no. That's a huge false sense of security, because just like this person is saying in the chat, like VPNs can give you a very tiny layer of protection to basically convince a computer that you're in a different location. But if somebody it doesn't really hide your identity in as secure of a way that a lot of people think. Okay. Now, you could have a VPN that successfully accomplishes what you're after, but most VPNs provide people with a huge false sense of security, okay? Because essentially, like, you have to trust that your VPN is not logging every single thing you do and tying it back to your original IP address. And then also, you have to trust that that activity is recorded in a way that can't be hacked, number one, or number two, be handed over to authorities if they ever had legal pressure put on them to do so. Okay, because think about it, like every single like, let's say you use a website where you're trying to hide your identity, like the VPN is basically just a service that's acting as a proxy for you to use a different computer to act as your IP address. But every single web request that you make, you don't exactly know every single step that happens in between the time that you act as that IP address and the time that it receives your original request. You're making a request, it's giving a response back, and then you basically have something saying in the middle that's helping you relay that request somewhere else, with the different IP address. But it's laughably simple for them to take your request and your IP address and just log it, okay, and store it in a database or some sort of long-term storage. And I mean, also your internet service provider too. Like, don't forget, like all these people have the ability to store this information. And if they're ever hacked, like I was saying, you don't know that they're like, if they're hacked and then hackers take that information and then, and now that's able to hand that over, or for it to just be put on, the dark web or whatever, right? Like there's so many ways that information could be compromised. So somebody says in the chat that Tornado and Mixers are generally dirty protocols anyway. So here's the thing. I mean, you have to understand, we don't totally know the implications of like this, right? Like, what if you received funds from somebody who used Tornado Cash? Like, are you now suspect, right? I mean, like part of it's like, I don't see how that's going to be directly enforceable, because anybody could just send money to my wallet. But what if they say, if you are in direct exchange with another user who used Tornado Cash, right? Like I said before, like if you sold an NFT to somebody, like on OpenSea, and then you received, money that directly came from Tornado Cash, are you now like in hot water? Is OpenSea in hot water if they don't blacklist Tornado addresses, right? Are they now going to put pressure on every single decentralized protocol to blacklist Tornado Cash addresses? And what happens if those protocols don't comply? Are they going to get in trouble, and then are you going to be banned from using those protocols? Like, there's lots of questions here. What does that do to the value proposition? Somebody says, I think this is like a lot of new regulations, still a bit uncooked without clarity, given institutional and bigger player exposure. I can't see the rules for accidental exposure being so strict. I'm with you. I think that's probably. But then again, like I said, I can't give legal advice. I can't say like, oh yeah, this is probably not gonna happen, because it could happen, right? And I don't want somebody watching this video to just take that and run with it and get a false sense of security when it could be more dire than that. So another thing is, I'll put these links in the live chat replay here. So here's the press release from the U.S. Treasury, and here is a list of addresses that came up. So here's a Tornado Cash address. Here's a specifically designated national list update. The following entities have been added to the OFAC's SDN list. Okay, here's Tornado Cash addresses. And here's all these different Ethereum addresses. Okay. Okay, so anyways, I wanted to get on here today and make this video to give you all a big warning, because, this is serious business. I've talked about Tornado in the past and what it does for the Ethereum ecosystem and other, other EVM compatible chains. And yeah, you gotta really be careful, especially for the United States. So let's look at a couple of let's just go ahead and take a quick peek at the crypto markets here. Cause we're definitely seeing some green on the charts, over the past weekend, which on this channel we've been watching to see if we can actually get a bottom to form in the crypto space. I've kind of been talking about this for almost a couple months now, that we've been seeing lots of bottom signals, okay, in terms of the Bitcoin price and others, right? We've seen, of course, the macroeconomic scene has been probably the biggest factor in the crypto downturn that really started at the, really the beginning of November. I mean, it's kind of when Bitcoin price top is about November 10th, roughly. We've kind of been on mostly a bear trend since then, okay? And, macro is a huge component of that. Like we saw the federal, we saw the U.S. central bank essentially shift its monetary policy, okay, to tightening, raising interest rates, to fight inflation, shrinking the balance sheet. All right, we've seen stock market get absolutely hammered. Cryptos followed the same course. Basically a very risk-off environment for about 9 months now, better part of a year, okay? And so, crypto's had its own specific set of problems where we've seen insolvency issues, funds blowing up, stable coins, top 10 cryptocurrencies go to zero, all right? So those are some crypto-specific problems that made the sell-off way worse. And really at like the peak of those things, like kind of maybe like in June, I'd say kind of mid or early to mid June, so almost 2 months. About that time, I was like, hey, we're starting to see some pretty big bottom signals. It's a pretty big capitulation, and I don't try to call bottoms in real time. They're only apparent in hindsight for sure. I think it's a horrible risk reward scenario to try to really nail those things unless you're just searching for clout, which I don't care about in terms of predicting cryptocurrency prices. Okay, but right, like I always think about this space in terms of probability. Okay, and then what's most likely to happen? Well, it's like when you see those types of signals, like they usually corresponds to some sort of bottom. And so let's kind of take a peek at whether that's whether the new information starts to stack up in that direction. Well, we are starting to see some trend reversal in terms of our long-term moving averages for Bitcoin in particular, which is a good thing. Okay, our moving averages have basically been down only, at least the much more shorter-term moving averages. Okay, and we're starting to see a reversal in many of those, which is definitely good. Of course, we're below this 200-week moving average, which Bitcoin has crossed below pretty much every time it's hit a bottom. Okay, and now we are back above it. All right, and looks like we held it as support for our weekly close, which is huge. Okay, the fact that we are above that. Again, I'm not a big technical analyst, but I know a lot of people watch this stuff, watching that 200-week moving average like a hawk. Okay, and the fact that we got above it and held it, that's a good start. All right, in the right direction. So, Bitcoin got back above $24,000 for the first time since I want to say June. Okay, so we're at basically a 2-month high in the Bitcoin price, roughly speaking, as of this morning, which is definitely a step in the right direction. Okay, so there's definitely signs of encouragement, right? Now, again, I don't want to I'll be cautiously optimistic here because, there's still a lot of question marks in terms of the broader economy. I don't get too cocky. Okay, anybody who was around in November who was pretty confident that we were about to just rocket off to 100K, probably still has a fair amount of PTSD from being too confident in what crypto is going to do, right? But this is at least a step in the right direction, okay? And so Ethereum broke back above $1,800 this morning as well, this morning here in the U.S. We've got the ETH merge coming up on the horizon. All right, this is one of the most anticipated events in all of crypto's history. Okay, with Ethereum switching to proof of stake on September 19th. We have only like 40-something days until the Ethereum merge. Let me actually just look it up. 42 days to the Ethereum merge. Okay, so there's be lots of people who are working on the merge trade. Okay, trying to get ETH to accumulate that ETH before we make the switch. Okay, there's lots of people who are speculating on an Ethereum fork for proof of work ETH to stay behind and get some free ETH. All right, there's gonna be people who are buying and holding for that, moving their funds around, try to get some free ETH from a fork. We'll see if that actually happens. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we've seen more developments on this. But another interesting stat that I saw today, which, I wouldn't read too much into this, but I thought it was pretty funny, at the very least, was that the Google search trends for bear market rally, okay, have always, based on a small sample size of 2 times, all right, Google searches for bear market rally right after the market bottoms, historically speaking, okay? And we just saw another spike in search activity. So, like, if you look at bear market rally, this is not just for crypto, right? It's for everything. So, like, after 2008, bear market rally, interest over time was here, and COVID, bear market rally here. We're also now reaching another high in terms of bear market rally search terms, and they're always after the bottom. So, this is too small of a sample size to be statistically significant, to hang your hat on and really, take it to the bank. But I thought it was funny, right? But it also does stand to reason, because, if crypto tends to, and markets tend to do like whatever everybody thinks the markets, whatever the majority of the market thinks is going to do with really specificity, tends to not be how things play out, right? And everybody sort of Googling a bear market rally after the fact is more of an indicator that like the bottom probably in. So we'll see. But I'm not, don't take from this video that I said, hey, the bottom's in. But there are many more like arguments in favor of a bottom being in the rearview mirror than not, in my opinion, right now. But not financial advice. Of course, that's just kind of what I'm thinking here. All right, everybody, that's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps these videos out, so then we can learn about blockchain. And if you're as fast at this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? You can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcode entirely, I can show master blockchain step-by-step from start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You don't have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. Until next time, thanks.